Hello, this is Brian. Today is Wednesday, May 31st, 2023, and I'm here at the edge of Mission Trails Regional Park, right off of the dirt portion of Mesa Road in Santee. It's time for a Spotlight on Plants video. Today, I want to focus on this interesting plant right here. And this is what we have. Branching Phacelia. This is Phacelia ramosissima. Branching Phacelia is an ephemeral herbaceous perennial in the Borage family, the Boraginaceae. And what I mean by ephemeral perennial herbaceous plant is that A, the stems don't form wood. It's an herbaceous plant. B, perennial means the plant lives for a couple to several years plus. And ephemeral meaning is that the portions of the plant above ground, like the leaves, stems, flowers, and fruits, are seasonal. So as the root is perennial, in other words, the root stays alive for years, the top part of the plant dies back every year. So it's a seasonal plant. It's a seasonal perennial, basically. So what we have is this very stretched out, kind of viney, crazy, wild growing plant that is one of our relatively few perennial species of Phacelia here in Southern California. We do have a few, but by far the genus Phacelia here represented here in Southern California is mostly annual herbs that actually completely die at the end of the growing season. So what we have here again is a very twisty, viney, very hairy, very bristly, hairy plant with some pretty thick stems as you go lower down on the stems, of course, of the plant towards where the root is. And then they culminate in these very intricately branched, hence branching Phacelia, and the species name ramosissima means very much branched in Latin, from ramus, which is branch in Latin. Ramosissima, issima being a superlative adjective, meaning very much or the most. So this is one of our most branched Phacelias. So what we have are these green leaves that are variously pinnately lobed, and pinnately lobed meaning they are lobed along the side, kind of like a pinnately compound leaf, only these leaves are lobed instead of compound. Except they do sometimes divide into leaflets further down, as you see here. As you notice, the higher up you go, the smaller the leaves. The lower on the stem you go, the much larger these lobed leaves are. So that's pretty much a characteristic of a lot of our herbaceous plants, is that a lot of the leaves are much larger towards the base and smaller towards the top. So what I want to do is snap a couple pictures of the leaves, and then we'll go talk about some of the other parts of this plant. So you can see, this plant sprawls out all over the place. All over the place. Spreads out here, spreads out there, spreads out here. So it's a very widespread plant. So I want to be a little bit more accurate and clear about what I was talking about. Pinnately lobed versus pinnately compound. Well, the leaves appear to be a combination of the two. The leaves, again, we do have some pinnate lobing here, some side lobing, and then further down they do divide into separate leaflets. And these plants are very hairy. So you can kind of get an idea. They kind of have a rough, bristly texture. Now, I don't know if this is one of the species, but some people are reported to have skin sensitivity, people who are reported to have skin sensitivity with some Phacelia species might incur a type of skin rash or dermatitis. So be mindful. I don't know if this is one of the species that does it, or if most species do it, I don't know. But just a little discretion if you do plan to enjoy this wildflower out on your hikes. Just a disclaimer that I've read about Phacelia species. That little announcement aside, it's a really cool plant. Like I said, the leaves get a lot smaller as you go up the really bristly stems. And then we get these little coils of flowers in the springtime. And here we have it. They're kind of small. They're not extremely conspicuous as in a lot of other Phacelia species. One species of Phacelia that I see out here a lot in the springtime is Phacelia ramosissima, which has a really explosively deep purple flower, and it's one of our common annuals. But here we are with this one. It's a little more subdued. You have to get a little bit closer to look at it. It has kind of an interesting pinkish color, and they're at the end of these kind of coil-shaped inflorescences, as you see here, and that's very typical in a lot of Boraginaceae plants or Borage Family plants. They're the coiled inflorescences. So during the spring, they form these kind of pretty neat looking purple flowers at the end of their stems, again in coiled inflorescences, and then develop these really small, really tiny seed capsules that sprinkle the seeds on the floor of the on the ground. So branching Phacelia can be pretty common here in Southern California. Its preferred habitat's mostly going to be in wooded areas, typically in areas of really tall chaparral or small woodlands or even forests, and especially can be pretty prevalent along the side of trails and other disturbed spots. Now, reportedly, this plant's supposed to be pretty easy to grow for garden enthusiasts. Like me, I love growing natives. I don't really have a garden going right now, but maybe down the line I would like to reestablish my native plant growing like I used to do when I lived in Orange County. But this is supposed to be a pretty easily grown plant. You're supposed to simply just put the seeds in the dirt, mix it up, and wait for them to grow. So I'm going to get a couple pictures of the flowers of this plant, and then we'll conclude this video. All right, so branching Phacelia, generally a lower elevation plant, but I'm going to obviously post more about the range of this plant on the screen here, so you get a better idea of where this plant grows. But as you can look in this tangle of arroyo willow here, all that green down there, besides this arroyo willow, all that green down there is more of this branching Phacelia plant. I said, if you're looking for the biggest, showiest, most conspicuous ones, you're probably going to want to look at a lot of the herbaceous annual ones that come up in the springtime and have these really, really explosively colored flowers. But for something with a little more humility, but to me, very interesting growth habits, you can't really go wrong with this plant here. Branching Phacelia ramosissima. We got some more of it growing over here. Here's a nice little, they sprawl out for quite a distance. And here's more of it here. This is all branching. This right here is all branching Phacelia until you get towards the rocks. Then you got some other plants growing there. But this from here all the way to here, down to here, and behind this little thicket here, that's all Phacelia ramosissima, the branching Phacelia. So again, you kind of have to look a little more closely at it to appreciate the flowers. And the flowers may seem plain to a lot of people who expect more of a big, vibrant, extremely showy blossom. But give this humble plant a chance. Its beautiful growth patterns, its vivacious size, and its tenacity definitely make this a plant that would be a pretty good garden plant. So there you have it, Phacelia ramosissima, branching Phacelia, here from Mission Trails Regional Park. Thanks for watching, and hope to start belting out some more of these spotlights soon. See you on the next episode.